In his 1516 book, Utopia, Sir Thomas Evenmore imagined a society where everybody received a surefire income. This is often pointed at by several as one of the very first instances of universal standard revenue or U. Can you picture such a society? We would all get free cash to cover our fundamental necessities, leaving us with more area to discover our enthusiasms. Appears rather sweet, appropriate, but would that in fact operate in the real life? Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to obtain motivated there be several arguments for, as well as against universal, standard earnings, with a couple of nations trying out their own UBI experiments. Nonetheless, while numerous entertain the concept of, a lot of nations still look at it with skepticism. So today, we'd like to review the idea of global basic revenue, its disadvantages and pros, as well as a few real-life experiments in order to answer the concern, should we all get free money? Okay, to begin, what is UBI? If you've ever played Monopoly, then you're probably acquainted with the phrase pass, collect and also go $200. Well, that's a lot like the global standard earnings, alright? That's obviously an oversimplification, however there are some resemblances between UBI and the famous parlor game. Do not pass, go, do not collect $200. Just like in Monopoly with UBI, everybody obtains the same quantity of cash to work with, more repayments coming down. Wow, that's tough to say, for sure. We've taken a position versus UBI in the past, but seeing just how it's unfolded in some areas and also makes us interested. Plus, imagine being able to concentrate a lot more on personal jobs and work that's more fulfilling to you. Including in that the fact we've already seen it can work. Universal standard earnings may not be the option to all of our problems, yet it sounds like a step in an intriguing instructions. Executing it would need some job, naturally, yet if we check out existing designs we'll have an excellent frame of reference to build from. So, what's your take on UBI, Alexa? Do you believe it's a smart relocation or a dilemma waiting to occur? Share your thoughts in the remarks. We always like hearing what you have to state, and also has a perk. Here's a fun truth. The next area to attempt a real universal basic income will certainly be the self-governing Spanish area of Catalonia, which is wanting to examination, a 2-year pilot program in 2020. To the particular quantity of money hasn't been zeroed in yet they are taking into consideration something between 900 as well as 1350 euros. Each, all paid for by the Catalan federal government. Only time will certainly tell exactly how well it functions, as well as if other nations will certainly do the same. Line at its core, basic universal earnings is a cash money payment given to every person without any specific problems. That indicates it does not matter how much cash you make or just how little, all of us obtain the exact same payment. This is in some cases called full standard revenue, if the payment suffices to cover all standard needs or partial standard income. If it isn't, it might sound comparable to existing programs that profit the bad out of work or the senior, yet given that those have particular problems and needs, they're not exactly UBI. Currently allows travel back in time, to that horrible year 2020. The lockdowns and restrictions brought on by the pandemic made a great deal of individuals shed their jobs, with many around the world having a hard time to make ends satisfy. A lot of federal governments offered cash repayments to their citizens to help them handle throughout the pandemic. Hong Kong, Canada, Germany, Italy, India, as well as the US were some of the locations where these cash settlements were executed. Due to this, lots of take into consideration the pandemic as kind of a perfect example of the requirement of an universal fundamental income. As soon as such person is Andrew Yang, that ran as an autonomous party prospect for president in 2020. And for the New York City mayor's workplace in 2021. Universal standard income was among the major columns of his advocate US president as well. Edge of critics. We have claims that UBI would be as well expensive, that it would certainly eliminate people's motivation to function. And also it might in fact raise inequality. Let's be sincere, the expense of applying a UBI would certainly be significant. For example, in the US, it's estimated it would take a tremendous $2.8 trillion per year simply to provide every person a repayment of $1,000 a month. Nonetheless, we would certainly likewise need to take into consideration the existing expense of social programs that would be made repetitive. I was the thing. As for the motivation point, if you be Well, it's hard to suggest that numerous would not intend to function if they really did not need to. However, that doesn't always suggest they would simply kick back not doing anything without the need of work. Individuals may take even more passion in improving their education and learning and also working together with in various other methods. However, like we said, this is already played out in a couple of areas. So, let's consider some real-life examples to really address our question. We cannot simply consider the pros and cons in a vacuum, and also thankfully, for us, we don't have a lot of nations have actually currently trying out to be, and also we can look at their own outcomes to have an idea of the performance on this proposition. Let's begin with the state of Alaska in horrible penalties. It would certainly be much more to the point to supply everyone with some ways of source of income, to ensure that nobody is under their shocking need of becoming first a burglar and then a remain schooling words, right? Well, we aren't going around hanging burglars any longer. The basic idea of their debate still stands. If we offer every person cash, so they can deal with their fundamental demands, they would not have to fret about just how to endure, or turn to devoting criminal offenses to do so, but sadly points are never ever so straightforward. Or else we would certainly all be relaxing drinking margaritas throughout the day. Well, there are numerous recommended benefits to universal standard earnings. There are also a couple of downsides that experts have pointed out in the Edge of Fans. They explained how UBI can lower poverty levels and also earnings equal rights, enhance psychological health, fight technological unemployment, and remove the demand for a social safety net. Currently, the increase to mental health and wellness that originates from not having to worry about how you'll survive every month is indisputable, and also is being, even with existing UBI tests. Nevertheless, there are some that recommended that UBI might really even worse than inequality, given that it would also give people that currently have extra resources the very same cash as well as can incentivize individuals to vote in leaders who assured them more cash in. New York City Mayor relating to the lack of ability to pay for real estate during the pandemic, Yang stated, 30% or more of Americans couldn't pay for real estate expenses last month, which is with extended unemployment insurance and also various other steps. So, we need to believe a lot bigger regarding exactly how we make this economic situation work for many Americans, and to me, that begins with putting economic alleviation straight into their hands. But the pandemic isn't the only reason that people are requiring UBI nowadays. Where the growing surge of automation, individuals are worried that robots will take our tasks, alright? Okay, we know that's not specifically just how it functions, but there are problems about the need of specific jobs in a progressively computerized globe with UBI. We can move far from a model where work are a demand to live, and that's the heart of global basic earnings, giving people some relief for their everyday necessities, defense from unexpected events, and the liberty to select what they want to perform with their lives without having to fret a lot about just how they'll manage to live. However, obviously, there are some pros and cons in the book. Paradise. The characters went over the way thieves are hanged over their crimes throughout their supper conversation on this topic. Among them states, no charge in the world will quit people from stealing if it's their only way of obtaining food, instead of inflicting. US. Did you understand? The state pays every person an annual returns. They've been doing this because 1982. Via the Alaska Permanent Fund, which is supported by oil revenues. The quantity isn't taken care of as it's based upon current oil rates, yet it's ranged from $1,000 to $2,000 in the past. Did people stop working because of that? Not. Economists examined the result of the program and also discovered it didn't have any type of impact on work. It did, however, lead to a 20% decrease in hardship prices as well as households having even more children. Canada has tried the program twice in the District of Manitoba in between, or in 1979, and also more just recently in the province of Ontario, in between 2017 and also 2018. In both cases, people saw a boost in mental as well as physical wellness, but both jobs work as well as once a much more traditional prospect came into power. One example of the program running at a nationwide level is Iran. The nation initially executed a UBI back in 2011 to make up for the removal of some subsidies. It was later called back, as some individuals felt it decreased the inspiration to function. Yet researchers, he's really located that to not hold true. Other nations that have actually carried out UB tests include Kenya, Spain, Germany, Finland, Brazil, and also the Netherlands. So to cover every one of this up, should all of us get free?